What is up, Packer fans? Back again. Here we are, the Week 10 mid-season review. The 6-3 Green Bay Packers are on the Week 10 bye. Hopefully getting healthy, getting Jordan Love's knee and groin back to 100%. Hopefully getting Josh Myers, the center, back. Hopefully getting Jair Alexander back. And hopefully this team can make a run in the second half of the season. The Packers, like I said, 6-3, losing some tough games against divisional opponents, but winning some big games against the Texans, and then obviously teams like the Rams and the Los Angeles, and the Packers just taking care of business against teams like the Titans and the Jaguars. So for this Packers team, 6-3, a lot of things to cover with this midseason review. Jordan Love obviously missed 2 games. Too many interceptions compared to his touchdown ratio. Last year, he had 11 interceptions all year. This year, he's already got 10 on the season. So for him, something to clean up, definitely. The running game with Josh Jacobs has been definitely a bright spot for this Packers team. A workhorse running back, a guy that we've leaned on a lot this season. He's got 762 yards rushing. He's on pace. I know he's got to kind of catch up because it's been 9 games. He's only got 8 left. So he's going to have to kind of do a little catching up. But he's basically on pace mid-season to reach some of the record numbers for Packers running backs. Jim Taylor back in 61 had like 1473, I think. And then Dorsey Evans had somewhere in the mid-early 1400s. And then Amon Green had that season where he ended up like 1386, I think. Don't quote me on those numbers. I think I'm close to it, but he was, just under 1400. Amon Green was that year. So for Josh Jacobs in his first year as a Packers running back, he could be in elite company as far as Green Bay running backs go. Aaron Jones, to put it in perspective, his best seasons were about 1100 yards rushing. So Josh Jacobs is on pace for over 1,300 yards. If he hits that 1,400-yard mark, he's going to be really, really close to breaking some historic Packer all-time records. So very exciting to watch. Jacobs, losing Jones was tough, but Jacobs has done the job, and he's been super exciting to watch. He's got his first receiving touchdown, and I think he's 6th year in the league now. So over 200 receptions without a touchdown, the most in NFL history, and he finally got his touchdown. So amazing for him. And Jordan Love throwing the ball over the field. He's got 1,800 yards, over 1,800 yards, missed 2 games. Multiple 4-touchdown games. He's had 2 of them, I think. He almost had he had like 11 touchdowns in a 3-game stretch this season. So, there's spurts where you see J Love just go off and go crazy. Thanks to, Jaden Reed, who's kind of stepped up as the number 1. He's got 620 yards receiving this year. Romeo Doubs, he missed that game with the suspension. He's got a little over 400 yards receiving. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, the kind of surprise. We all thought Luke Musgrave was going to be the guy that kind of came in and was the tight end number 1. He's been kind of banged up, not really the great blocker down on the inside, and so Tucker Kraft, elite in blocking, and kind of took over as the receiving pass-catching tight end. And this guy doesn't want to go down. They call him Yak and Cheese for a reason, so really exciting to have him. And then obviously Christian Watson just hasn't had the targets, 233 yards receiving, just hasn't had the targets or the the reps to really do anything with. So I like to see those guys all step up a little bit more. Dontavian Wicks just hasn't taken his step. He's been dropping a lot of balls also. So I look for this young Packers team to settle down a little bit in the second half of the season, kind of repeat what happened in the second half of last season after they went 3-6 to start. Now at 6-3, we're in a lot better position. I feel like this young team can really take the steps forward and build off of what they did in the second part of last season. Just kind of clean up some of the mistakes with Jordan Love, some of the mistakes, up front, pre-snap penalties with the offensive line, and then with the drops, with the receivers, you just can't have 6 drops in a game. So Packers on defense, though, Quay Walker leading the team in tackles, 64 tackles. Devontae Wyatt has 3 sacks, which is strange because he missed a few games, and he's leading the team in sacks with 3. Obviously, Rashawn Gary, I think he's at like 2.5. You'd like to see him up to like the 5 mark, a sack a game almost, so almost towards like 8 or 9. He's down at 2.5. He has had historically slow starts to seasons in the past, so we'll see if Rashawn Gary can get going. But Devontae Wyatt right now leads the team in sacks. And then obviously Xavier McKinley X throwing it up. He's leading the league in interceptions with 6. So, of course, he's leading the team with interceptions. And so, for the Packers, the defense, most takeaways in the league at 19. Last year they had 17 all season. So, really a big step forward for Green Bay on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, some things to clean up as well. But coming into 2024, the Packers, the coaches, the players, the fans, everybody had high expectations for this team, especially after what they did last year down in Dallas, making it a really, I think it was 48. I know we won by 14, so it was 48-34, I think is what they came out to be. So for the Packers to do that last year against the Cowboys and then come into this season after just barely losing to the Niners, high hopes going into 2024. Jordan Love got his big contract. I was hoping that he would come in and kind of start where he left off last season, and this team could really kind of take the steps forward to being an elite team in the NFL. So this year kind of started out a little weird, going down to Sao Paolo, Brazil to play against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Packers lost that one. It was close. It was just kind of a back and forth, and then obviously the Packers ended up losing. They bounced back with wins against AFC South teams and the Titans and the Colts, winning those games. And then they went and lost at home against the Vikings in a game where Aaron Jones had 93 yards rushing against his former team. And the Packers gave up over 70 yards receiving to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So games the Packers should have won. They were down obviously in that game 28-0. They came back. Just the Vikings game was not ideal. Good comeback, but just not enough. There was chances to win in the end, but just still not enough. And then obviously we took down the Cardinals and the Texans and the Rams, and that was Packers playing Packers ball. And so running the football, Jordan Love, that's when he went on his 11 touchdown tear in a 3-game stretch there. So, and then obviously going down to Jacksonville in a game that's a place that's tough notoriously for the Packers to play. They got to win there also, making it a 4-game win streak for Green Bay. Coming back home against the Lions, they played against a tough Lions team in a monsoon and ended up losing by 10 points. A Lions team that scored 52 points the week prior and had scored over 40 points in like 2 of the 3 weeks prior to that as well. So for this Packers team to play as bad as they did in a monsoon with Love kind of shaken up, and be that close in the end with the Lions, I think this Packers team looks at that as a win, and they're going to be able to build on that and grow from that and beat the Lions when it counts later in this season, in the regular season, and then in the playoffs. If they have to take care of business, then I think they will also. So, but for the Packers, this young team, they just need to get some guys back from injury. Like I said, Jair, Evan Williams, the center, also Josh Myers. These guys need to come back from injury. Jordan Love needs to get his groin and his knee, worked out and try to get him up to 100%, and then he has to stop making some of the poor decisions that he's been making. So it's just, for this Packers team, it's on offense, the offensive line, Rasheed Walker playing really well at left tackle. Didn't know how he'd hold up. Alkin Jenkins got moved into center when Josh Myers went out. He was the one that kind of messed up those snaps in the rain in the monsoon against the Lions. So he got moved over from left guard to center. Now he'll hopefully be going back to left guard. Josh Myers will be coming back in at center. At right guard, Sean Ryan and then Jordan Morgan, when he comes in, they've both been playing really well. Sean Ryan's kind of solidified himself in that right guard spot. A guy who I picked 3 years ago when he got drafted as a guy that he was the best run blocker in college football. Graded really high at UCLA. Just, a little bit overweight for what they wanted him to do in the NFL, and just needed to get some of his endurance up and kind of learn the things they wanted him to do. And now he's becoming that guy they thought he could be. He definitely knows how to block and play. So for the Packers, really a good solid pick there. And then at right tackle, Zach Tom just keeps playing well. And the offensive line for the Packers has not really been the issue. Some pre-snap penalties, but a lot of the issues have come after the snap. The Jordan Love mistakes, the drops, things like that. Packers have been holding the ball pretty well when it comes to fumbling the ball, so that hasn't been a big issue. But Jordan Love just throwing these interceptions has just kind of taken this team to a place where they didn't really want to be at this point in the season, with the turnover margin being as high as it is when it comes to his interceptions. Of course, we take the ball away, so it does balance out a little bit, but we don't want the turnovers on our side. obviously it kind of counteracts what the defense is doing. But for the defense, 19 total takeaways. This defense has really been stepping up. Obviously, we just traded Preston Smith to the Steelers for a 7th-round pick. I guess he asked for a trade a few weeks ago. A guy that's been around for 5 years or so and played well for us, but a guy that just kind of didn't really fit the scheme. And we got young guys in Lucas Van Ness and JJ Enagbare that are stepping up and really playing well. They also want to get Aaron Mosby, who had a big play in the Lions game, back in also. And then they want to get Brenton Cox Jr. also in the mix a little bit more. So this move made sense. Give some younger guys some more playing time. This does bring down our average age, though, for the Packers. We were already the youngest, and Smith was one of the older guys, so he was kind of carrying that average up, and so now the Packers even younger. But I think that trade is a good move for Green Bay. I do like Enagbare. I want to see Rashawn Gary step up a little bit more, and we need Lucas Van Ness. He's got 26 games now under his belt and 5 sacks, so he's a guy that needs to start stepping up. He's a first-round pick, so he really needs to start playing up to that standard and the potential that we saw coming out of Iowa in him. So on the back end, though, I think X playing great. I think Eric Stokes is playing really well. Keyshawn Nixon's playing really well. We haven't been giving up a lot of these big plays. It's a lot of stuff underneath and things like that. So we'll have to kind of clean some of that up. I don't know if it's communication issues or what's going on, but hopefully if we get Evan Williams back, him and X seem to really make a good duo back there. Get Jair Alexander back. To me, Ja is great, but I think he talks a little bit more than he plays. I think he's not as good as he thinks he is sometimes, and he just needs to go out there and play. So, and make some tackles. Quit trying to shoulder guys. Actually tackle them. But anyway, so then the linebackers, I think Edgerrin Cooper, I think this guy is a playmaker. He's going to be a great player for the Packers for years to come, and we're just going to keep seeing him grow in the middle at linebacker. Him and Quay Walker. I heard kind of some rumors about Quay maybe getting benched or whatever just because he's been missing some assignments. Quay is too good and too explosive, and there's too much potential with him to make plays to do anything else besides have him on the field. Let him learn, let him grow through some of these mistakes, and then let him and Edge really come on together and make a formidable duel in the middle of the Packers defense there. So, and then obviously we still have Kenny Clark down low. Devontae Wyatt should be coming back. I like what I see out of those guys. Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks both playing great. Really underrated players that Gutekunst got late in the draft last season, and both guys that just do their job and play really well, sound players. So exciting to see them continue to grow. And then, just the Packers defense as a whole, still new under Jeff Hafley. We saw him in his bag against Houston. That was quite the performance. But against other teams, we know we gave up some yards. Against the Vikings, obviously, we were down 28-0. Against the Lions, we couldn't really stop them. The run as well as we needed to, and we did. We obviously ended up losing that game. But holding that team to 24 points after what they were doing, that is kind of a win also, especially with the offense not being able to do much with the ball. So, for the Packers, though, 3-6 they were at last year. They're at 6-3. Total turnaround from the beginning of last year. Obviously, there's a lot of question marks going into last year. A lot of those are cleared up now. The team is a year older. These guys need to start stepping it up a little bit. We're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. This team needs to start playing up to their potential. Like I said, I love Jordan Love. I love what he's doing. I love the fact that Josh Jacobs is playing so well, and then Chris Brooks and Emmanuel Wilson come in. They can really run the ball well. I like what Wilson brings. He really is a good back. And then Brooks, showing some things as well. So this young receiver group, just keep playing through these games. Not every game is going to be a 5-catch, 10-target game. These guys need to realize that they're a unit and they're coming together. They're really talented. They're really young and raw. Wicks has to stop dropping the ball. Watson just got to keep trying to get open. This guy is a playmaker. It seems like every time he catches the ball, it's either a touchdown or a long pass. So I like what he brings to the team. And then Doubs and Reed kind of becoming those number one role, receivers on the team. So for, obviously Doubs coming back, he's really played well since his little holdout or not showing up for practice, which is just crazy to me. You hear some of the guys that talk from the 90s and the early 2000s, like, we would never have missed practice. These young guys are wild, So glad the Packers got that hashed out. Obviously, Dobbs is a big playmaker for us. And then Reed, the last few weeks, he just hasn't been playing as great as I thought he started the season. And now, hopefully, after the bye, he can kind of regroup, come back to that form. He's been dropping some balls and just not making right reads and just not being able to get open as well. Obviously, he had a big catch with Malik Willis to help us win the game against the Jaguars. But it's just not, for the Packers, it's going to come down to more than that. They're going to need their playmakers to make plays all the time and not drop the balls, obviously. So Tucker Kraft, he's going to keep playing well. I know that. He's going to block for us. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to do all the dirty work. He's going to be great. So, and then hopefully Luke Musgraves come back. I liked Luke Musgraves coming out of Oregon State. 6'6", a guy that can run. Getting him back would really help us stretch the field. Another guy that can go down the seam. So I like Luke, and hopefully he comes back soon, healthy and ready to go. And then, the rest of the team, just like I said, the offensive line, they have to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep getting more games under their belt as a unit. And this team, this offensive line is one of the better offensive lines the Packers have had in a few years. And I really like what they're doing up front in the running game and the passing game. So they have to just keep continuing to do that. And this Packers team should be good to go for the rest of the season. Obviously, let me go through the end of I know I have this up. So we're technically third in the NFC North. Next game after this bye week, week 10 here, week 11, we have the Bears, and then the 49ers. The Dolphins is on Thanksgiving, and then the Lions again, Seahawks, the Saints, the Vikings, and then the Bears again. So we have the Bears twice in the next 8 games. We play the Lions and the Vikings one more time each also. So if we can split those, that's, 1, 2, that's 4 games, so that's 2, and then hopefully the Niners game will be tough. Dolphins getting Tua back, that could be a struggle. Obviously, Seahawks, they're up and down. They could be really good, or they could be struggling that day. Saints, they just fired their head coach. That might be a game we can win. So not super tough going into the end of the season. The 49ers aren't the team they've been. They might be getting Christian McCaffrey back, though. They don't know for sure when or if, but that could happen. Obviously, like I said, Tua's back with Tyreek. Those guys are always a tough team to play. And then Lions, Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, Bears. So we'll go over those more. Obviously, we'll do a week-to-week preview video. This Packers team, again, like I said, 6-3 after the first 9 weeks. Perfect time for a bye week, week 10. Perfect time to get some rest, to get healthy, to regroup, to get prepared for the upcoming weeks. Really important to be good down the stretch. Obviously, Jordan Love, if he can cut his interceptions in half and keep his touchdowns where he's at, he's going to have a pretty good season. The interceptions keep going where he's going. He's going to have a Jameis Winston type season, the 30-30. So for the Packers, though, I really like what they're doing. LaFleur has been great. What a head coach we have. And then Jeff Hafley, what a great signing, a defensive coordinator. A lot of growing on the defense and the offense. Like I said, Preston Smith is gone now, so we're just getting younger and younger. And it's going to be up to these young guys that start stepping up. I'm calling out Lucas Van Ness. Luke Musgrave, hope he comes back. But Lucas Van Ness, I'm calling him out. Hopefully he can step up and start being that playmaker. And then this defense as a whole, I want to see more out of the secondary. Obviously, X is kind of keeping everybody else up, but the rest of these guys need to start making some plays. And then on offense, we just need to stop throwing interceptions and stop dropping the ball. The pre-snap penalties, some of the other penalties I can deal with. We just can't shoot ourselves in the foot by dropping passes and by throwing pick sixes when it really matters when the game's close. So go Pack Go. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to be doing week-by-week videos, of course, and this Packers team hopefully gets exciting down the stretch. I'm looking for another playoff run, Super Bowl run. This team did have high hopes, high aspirations of getting to the Super Bowl. So it's been 14 years since the last one, and before that it was 14 years since the one before that in 97, January 26, 97 is when Favre won. 14 years later, I think that was February 6, 2011. That's when Rodgers won, and now it'll be 2025, 14 years later again. So go Pack Go. Thanks again for watching. Peace out.